The message played over and over on the big screen at Earth's Space Center. SOS, help us. We cannot survive much longer. The voice sounded afraid. Taeho Park sat up straight in his chair. He was the first person to hear the call for help. It came from far away, from the Nebulan Federation. The Nebulans were peaceful aliens who had become friends with Earth 5 years ago. Taeho pushed a red button on his desk. Sir, I'm getting an emergency call from the Nebulans. The message continued. Our homes are being destroyed by the Void Armada. Our soldiers cannot stop them. We need your help now. Taeho's boss, Director Kyung, rushed into the room. His face looked worried as he listened to the message. Send this to the Defense Council right away, Director Kyung ordered. This could be very serious. Within 3 hours, Earth's top leaders gathered in a large meeting room. Ambassador Jisoo Kim sat next to a strange being. The alien looked like a person made of clear crystal. Light bounced off her body in colorful rays. This was Lumina, the Nebulan who lived on Earth as their messenger. Please tell us what is happening, said General Song, the head of Earth's army. Lumina's crystal body trembled slightly. The Void Armada came without warning. They attack our worlds one by one. They take our resources and kill our people. Why can't your people fight back? Asked Admiral Lee, who led Earth's space fleet. We Nebulans grew up on gentle worlds, Lumina explained. Her voice sounded like soft bells. Our bodies are not made for fighting. We have no natural weapons. We never needed them before. The room grew quiet as everyone thought about this. Humans knew they were different from most aliens. Earth was what space scientists called a death world, a planet with strong gravity, wild weather, dangerous animals, and many other things that could kill you. Humans had to become tough just to stay alive. The Void Armada comes from a harsh world too, Lumina continued, but they use their strength to hurt others. We Nebulans use our minds to build and create. We cannot match their violence. Jisoo looked at the military leaders. This is why they're asking for our help. They need people who know how to fight. Admiral Lee nodded slowly. He was a tall man with gray hair and a serious face. If we help, this would be the first time Earth has sent soldiers to another star system. If we don't help, Jisoo said quietly, the Nebulans might all die. General Song stood up. The Nebulans have shared their technology with us. They've been good friends to Earth, we should help them. Not everyone agreed. Some worried about sending humans so far from home. Others thought Earth should stay out of alien problems. We need to vote, said President Chang. Each leader pressed a button on their table to show their choice. The screen showed the result. 7 yes, 2 no. It is decided, said President Chang. Earth will send help to the Nebulans. Admiral Lee immediately began giving orders. We will send the 1st Interstellar Combat Regiment. They are our best soldiers. Get the ship Odysseus ready for space travel. Lumina's crystal body glowed brighter. Thank you. My people will not forget this. As the meeting ended, Jisoo walked with Lumina down the long hallway. Are you sure your people are ready for this? Jisoo asked. Ready for what? Lumina asked. For humans at war, Jisoo said. We can be intense when we fight. We have seen videos of your sports and your history, Lumina said. But I do not think my people truly understand what humans are capable of. You evolved on a world that tried to kill you every day. And that made us very good at staying alive, Jisoo said. And sometimes that means making sure other things don't. Colonel Junho Kang stood in the huge loading bay of the Odysseus, watching as soldiers and supplies moved up the ramps. The Odysseus was the biggest ship humans had ever built. It would carry 5,000 soldiers across space to help the Nebulans. Colonel, the weapons are all loaded, said Lieutenant Sunmi Choi, walking up to him with a computer pad. We have enough guns and bombs to fight a small war. Let's hope it's enough, Junho said. He was worried. They knew very little about the enemy they would face. Junho had picked every soldier himself. They were the best fighters from all over Earth. They had trained together for 2 years, preparing for the day when they might need to fight in space. What do we know about these Void Armada aliens? Sunmi asked. Not much, Junho admitted. They come from a world with heavy gravity like Earth. They are strong and do not feel pain like we do. And they take what they want without caring who gets hurt. Sunmi nodded. So they're bullies. Very dangerous bullies, Junho corrected her. With spaceships and energy weapons. Sergeant Minho Ryu joined them carrying a heavy box as if it weighed nothing. Minho was the strongest person in the regiment. He could lift twice as much as a normal human. All the special suits are packed, sir, Minho reported. Dr. Yoon is checking them one last time. The special suits were important. They would make the soldiers stronger, faster, and harder to hurt. Each suit cost more money than most people earned in 10 years. Good, Junho said. Make sure everyone knows how to use them properly. We can't afford mistakes when we're so far from home. A voice came over the speakers. All personnel prepare for departure in 3 hours. Final checks beginning now. Junho looked at his 2 officers. Let's finish getting ready. I need to prepare my speech to the troops. Later, when all 5,000 soldiers stood in neat rows in the Odysseus's main hall, Junho spoke to them from a raised platform. Soldiers of Earth, he began, his voice strong and clear. We're about to do something no humans have done before. We will travel to another star system to protect people who cannot protect themselves. The hall was completely quiet as everyone listened. The Nebulons are not like us, Junho continued. They come from gentle worlds. Their bodies break easily, but they are intelligent and kind, and they have asked for our help. He looked across the rows of men and women who would follow him into battle. We are taking Earth's strength to the stars. We are Deathworlders, people who grew strong because our world tried to kill us. Now we will use that strength to save lives, not take them. In the medical bay, Dr. Hee-Jin Yoon listened to the speech on the speakers as she organized her supplies. She hoped she had brought enough medicine and equipment. No human doctor had ever treated battle wounds in space before. On the bridge, the ship's captain gave the order to start the engines. The Odysseus hummed with power as it slowly rose from Earth's surface. President Chang and other leaders watched from the ground as the massive ship climbed into the sky. Bring them home safely, the president whispered. In space, the Odysseus pointed its nose toward the distant stars where the Nebulons lived. Its powerful engines glowed blue as they pushed the ship faster and faster. Inside, Junho stood by a window watching as Earth became smaller behind them. Soon it was just a blue dot, then nothing at all. They were on their own now, heading toward an enemy they had never seen, to save aliens they barely knew. This is either the bravest thing humans have ever done, he said to himself, or the most foolish. The Odysseus disappeared in a flash of light as it jumped to faster-than-light speed, carrying Earth's Deathworlders to war. The big ship Odysseus flew through space faster than light. Inside, the 5,000 soldiers of Earth's 1st Interstellar Combat Regiment got ready for war. Lieutenant Sunmi Choi sat in the ship's study room, looking at pictures of the enemy on a screen. The Void Armada soldiers were tall and thin with long arms and legs. They had no eyes on their smooth faces, just small holes where they sensed the world around them. How do they see without eyes? Sunmi asked the ship's computer. They do not see like humans, the computer answered. They feel heat and movement through their skin. Sergeant Minho Ryu walked into the room. His muscles made his uniform look too tight. Learning about the bad guys? He asked. Sunmi nodded. They're different from us in every way. They don't think like us. They don't feel like us. Minho looked at the pictures. They look scary. They should be scared of us, Sunmi said. They've never fought humans before. The Odysseus had been in space for 2 weeks. It would take 1 more week to reach the Nebulan worlds. Every day the soldiers trained hard. They practiced fighting in their special suits. They learned about Nebulon buildings and cities so they would know how to move around when they arrived. Colonel Junho Kang watched his troops train. He was proud of them but also worried. They were going to fight an enemy that no human had ever seen before. Would their training be enough? In the ship's big exercise room, soldiers practiced fighting in low gravity. They jumped high and moved fast, using their suits to control their movements. The suits were black and fit tight against their bodies. Small machines in the suits helped the soldiers move and protected them from harm. Higher, faster, shouted the training officer. The Void Armada won't wait for you to get your balance. In another room, soldiers practiced shooting their guns at moving targets. The guns were special, made just for this mission. They fired small bits of metal very fast, or beams of hot energy that could melt metal. Dr. Hee-Jin Yoon walked between groups of soldiers, checking that everyone was healthy. She was the chief medical officer, responsible for keeping the troops well and fixing them when they got hurt. How are you feeling, Sergeant Park? She asked a woman who was lifting weights. Strong, Doctor, Sergeant Ji-Young Park answered, ready to show these void creatures what Earth humans can do. Hee-Jin smiled, but inside she was nervous. She had studied the Void Armada's weapons. They were designed to cause a lot of pain. She hoped her medical team was ready for the injuries they might have to treat. On the bridge of the Odysseus, Colonel Jun-ho met with his top officers. They gathered around a table that showed a moving picture of the star system they were traveling to. "We will arrive at the edge of Nebulon space in 6 days," Jun-ho said. "The Void Armada is attacking this planet." He pointed to a blue-green world. "It's called Lumina 4. It's one of the Nebulon's farming worlds." "How many enemy ships?" asked Captain Yu, who led the ship's crew. "At least 20 big warships," Jun-ho answered. "And many smaller fighting ships. They have more ships than we do, but the Odysseus is very strong. Its shields can stop most attacks." Lieutenant Sunmi pointed to a spot on the map. "The Nebulons have a city here. It's their biggest food-growing center on the planet. We should protect it first." "Agreed," said Jun-ho. "We will send our first teams there. Sunmi, you will lead Scout Team Alpha. Your job is to find the enemy without being seen, then tell us their positions." Sunmi stood straighter. "Yes, sir." Jun-ho looked at his other officers. "Minho, you will lead the first attack team. You go in after Sunmi finds the enemy." Minho smiled. He had been waiting for this chance to fight. "Jinwoo," Jun-ho continued, turning to his intelligence officer, "you will stay on the ship and watch everything. Tell our troops about any changes in the battle." Jinwoo Han nodded. He was slim and quiet, but his mind was sharp. He could see patterns that others missed. "The rest of you will command your teams as we planned," Jun-ho said. "Remember, our job is to protect the Nebulons. They cannot fight for themselves." As the meeting ended, Jun-ho asked Sunmi to stay behind. "Lieutenant, I've received a new message from the Nebulons," he said. "Things are worse than we thought. The Void Armada isn't just killing Nebulons. They're taking them." "Taking them? You mean like prisoners?" Sunmi asked. "No, like resources." Jun-ho's face was grim. "They're harvesting the crystals that Nebulon bodies are made of. They use the crystals for their technology." Sunmi felt sick. "That's horrible." "Yes, and it means we must move fast when we arrive. The Nebulons aren't just losing a war. They're being hunted." In the ship's big dining hall, the soldiers ate together. The food was simple but gave them energy. They talked about the coming battle, some nervous, some excited. "I heard the Void Armada never retreats," said one young soldier. "They fight until they win or die." "So do we," said Sergeant Yoonji Kim. She was small but fierce, a skilled fighter who could move faster than most people could see. "Humans don't give up either." Across the room, Engineer Sung-ho Baek sat with his team. They were checking small flying robots that would help in the battle. The robots could fly ahead and show pictures of what they saw. "These will keep our soldiers safer," Sung-ho said. "They can find dangers before our people walk into them." On the other side of the ship, Weapons Officer Jun Seo Lee prepared the Odysseus's big guns. These powerful weapons could hit targets from far away. They would fire at the Void Armada's ships while the human soldiers fought on the ground. "Aim carefully," Jun Seo told his team. "We don't want to hit any Nebulons by mistake." As night came on the ship, they kept Earth time even in space. Most soldiers went to sleep. They would need all their strength soon. Colonel Jun-ho did not sleep. He stood in his room, looking at the stars through his window. Somewhere out there, the Void Armada was destroying a peaceful people. Soon they would learn that not all species in the galaxy were easy to conquer. "We're coming," he whispered to the stars. "Earth is coming." The Odysseus came out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Nebulon system. Right away, they could see the damage. 3 planets had burn marks all over them, where cities had been destroyed. The 4th planet, Lumina 4, was surrounded by black ships. "Void Armada ships detected," said the ship's computer. 23 large vessels, 42 small fighters. "They haven't seen us yet," Captain Yu said. "We're too far away." Colonel Jun-ho looked at the enemy fleet. It was bigger than they expected, but he had trained his whole life for challenges like this. "Move us behind the small moon," he ordered. "We'll hide there while we send down our scout teams." The Odysseus moved quietly, its engines barely glowing. It hid behind a small moon out of sight from the Void Armada. In the launch bay, Scout Team Alpha prepared to leave the ship. Sunmi checked her team's equipment one last time. "Remember, we are just looking," she told her 5 team members. "Do not fight unless you have no choice. Our job is to find the enemy and report back." They climbed into a small fast ship that could fly down to the planet without being seen. The ship was painted black and had special technology that made it hard to detect. "Good luck, Lieutenant," Colonel Junho said as the bay doors opened. "Find our target so we can save those people." Sunmi saluted him. "We won't let you down, sir." The small ship flew out of the Odysseus and headed toward Lumina 4. It moved between pieces of broken planets, staying hidden from the Void Armada's ships. On the bridge, Colonel Junho watched on a screen as the scout ship disappeared from view. Soon, his soldiers would be in battle. Earth was about to show the galaxy what Deathworlders could do when they were fighting for a good cause. "Prepare all troops," he ordered. "We attack as soon as Scout Team Alpha reports back." All through the Odysseus, soldiers put on their battlesuits and checked their weapons. The air felt electric with tension and excitement. They had trained for this moment. They were ready. Earth had sent its army and the Void Armada had no idea what was coming for them. The small scout ship landed silently in a forest on Lumina 4. Lieutenant Sunmi Choi and her team stepped out, their black battlesuits helping them blend into the shadows. The air smelled strange, like sweet metal. "Move quietly," Sunmi whispered. "Stay in formation." The forest was beautiful but odd to human eyes. The trees had crystal trunks that glowed faintly with inner light. The leaves were thin and changed color as they moved. Scout Team Alpha moved through the woods toward the nearest Nebulon city. According to their maps, it was only 3 miles away. They could already see smoke rising above the trees. "Look," whispered Corporal Do-hyun, pointing to something shiny on the ground. It was a broken piece of crystal, shaped like a hand. It had belonged to a Nebulon. Sunmi felt anger growing inside her, but she kept her face calm. "Stay focused," she told her team. They reached the edge of the forest and saw the city. It was mostly destroyed. The beautiful crystal buildings were broken. Black ships hovered above, and strange creatures walked through the streets. Sunmi used her suit's zoom feature to look closer at the enemy. The Void soldiers were even more alien in real life than in pictures. They were about 7 feet tall with gray skin that looked like stone. They had 4 arms and walked on 2 backward-bending legs. Their heads had no eyes, just smooth skin with small holes. "They're taking the Nebulon somewhere," said team member Ji-hoon, pointing to a group of Void soldiers pushing crystal people toward a big black building. Sunmi took pictures with her suit's camera and sent them back to the Odysseus. "Colonel, are you seeing this?" she asked through her radio. "We see it," Colonel Junho's voice answered in her ear. "Can you get closer to that building? We need to know what's happening inside." "Yes, sir," Sunmi said. "We'll move along the west side of the city. There's more cover there." The scout team moved carefully, using broken buildings and rubble to stay hidden. They saw more Void soldiers herding Nebulons. The crystal people looked dim, their usual glow fading. Sunmi knew this meant they were afraid or hurt. As they got closer to the black building, they heard a high singing sound. It was the cry of Nebulons in pain. "We need to see inside," Sunmi said. She pointed to a small hill nearby. "From there, we might be able to look through those windows." They climbed the hill and lay flat on their stomachs. Sunmi used a special scope that could see through some walls. What she saw made her gasp. Inside the building, Void soldiers were breaking Nebulons apart piece by piece. They were taking the crystal parts and putting them into machines. "They're harvesting them," Sunmi whispered in horror. "Like crops." She quickly sent more pictures to the Odysseus. "Colonel, they're taking the Nebulons apart. They're using their crystal bodies for something." On the Odysseus, Colonel Junho and his officers looked at the pictures with anger and disgust. "That's enough information," Junho said. "Lieutenant, return to the landing site. We're sending in the attack teams." "Sir," Sunmi said. "Request permission to stay and guide the attack teams to the targets." There was a pause. "Granted," Colonel Junho finally said. "But stay hidden." "That's an order." "Yes, sir," Sunmi replied. The other 4 scout teams reported similar findings from different parts of the planet. The Void Armada had set up harvest centers in 5 major Nebulon cities. They were systematically collecting the crystal beings. On the Odysseus, Colonel Junho gathered his attack team leaders. "The situation is worse than we thought," he told them. "The enemy is harvesting the Nebulons for their crystal bodies. We must hit all 5 processing centers at once." He showed them the pictures and maps from the scout teams. "Each team will attack 1 center. Your primary goal is to free the Nebulons and stop the harvesting. Your secondary goal is to capture Void soldiers for study if possible." Sergeant Minho Ryu looked at the pictures with hard eyes. "They'll regret coming to this world." Colonel Junho nodded. Attack teams, prepare to drop. We move in 1 hour. The attack ships flew down from the Odysseus fast and quiet. Each carried 50 soldiers in full battle gear. They landed a mile from each target, and the soldiers moved in on foot. At the first processing center, Sergeant Min-ho led Attack Team 1 toward the black building Sunmi had found. His 50 soldiers moved in 5 groups of 10 surrounding the building. Scout Team Alpha, what's the enemy count? Min-ho asked through his radio. 30 Void soldiers outside, unknown number inside, Sunmi's voice answered. They rotate guards every 20 minutes. Text rotation in 5 minutes. Min-ho smiled. Perfect timing. All groups in position. 4 group leaders confirmed they were ready. When the guards change, we move, Min-ho said. 5 minutes later, the Void soldiers began their guard change. As they switched positions, Min-ho gave the signal. Human soldiers rushed forward from all sides. Their battle suits made them faster and stronger than normal. They fired their weapons at the surprised Void soldiers. The energy beams hit the stone-like aliens, who reacted strangely. They didn't duck or try to run for cover like humans would. Instead, they stood their ground and fired back even as they were being hit. They don't fear pain, shouted a human soldier as he dodged enemy fire. Use it against them, Min-ho ordered. They won't retreat, so surround them. The humans used their speed and tactical thinking. They moved around the Void soldiers, attacking from all sides. Though the aliens were strong, they couldn't match the humans' adaptability and quick thinking. Inside the building, the fight was harder. The spaces were tight and there were many Void soldiers. But the humans had trained for this kind of battle. Min-ho led his team through the dark hallways, taking down enemies as they went. When they reached the main room, they found dozens of nebulons being processed by machines. Stop those machines, Min-ho shouted. Get the nebulons out. Human soldiers shot the machines, which sparked and stopped working. Others helped the nebulons who were still whole enough to move. One nebulon approached Min-ho, its crystal body cracked but still glowing. You came, it said in a voice like bells. Earth sent help. We did, Min-ho said, and we're going to get you out of here. Outside, the battle continued. The Void soldiers fought hard, but they had never faced enemies like humans before. They didn't understand pain as a warning to retreat. They stood and fought until they fell. They're not adapting, Sunmi observed from her hidden position. They keep using the same tactics even when they don't work. Similar battles were happening at the other 4 processing centers. Human soldiers using their speed, adaptability, and tactical thinking were overcoming the stronger but less flexible Void forces. At the 3rd center, squad leader Hyunwoo Park and his team were fighting inside the building when they cornered 3 Void soldiers. Instead of surrendering, the aliens tried to self-destruct with small bombs. Stop them, Hyunwoo shouted. His soldiers fired stun weapons, knocking the Void aliens unconscious before they could blow themselves up. They choose death over capture, Hyunwoo reported to Colonel Junho. We've stunned 3 for study, but it's hard to take them alive. On the Odysseus, Colonel Junho and Intelligence Officer Jin Woo-han monitored all 5 battles. Reports were coming in from each team. We've secured Center 2, reported Attack Team 2's leader. 53 nebulons rescued, 18 beyond saving. All enemy forces neutralized. One by one, the teams reported success. Though the fights were hard and some humans were injured, their superior tactics and adaptability won the day. Colonel Junho looked at the battle maps with satisfaction. All 5 centers secured in less than 2 hours. The Void Armada has never experienced defeat before. They don't know how to respond, Jinwoo nodded. But they will adapt eventually. We need to press our advantage before they figure out how to fight us. Agreed, said Colonel Junho. He opened a channel to all team leaders. Secure your positions and prepare the rescued nebulons for evacuation. The Odysseus is sending medical teams and transports. He then turned to Communications Officer Tae-jun. Send a message to the Void Armada command ship. Tell them this planet is now under Earth protection. Withdraw or be destroyed, Tae-jun sent the message. For several minutes there was no response. Then the ship's sensors detected movement. Sir, Tae-jun said, the Void Armada ships are changing position. They're moving toward us. Colonel Junho wasn't surprised. They don't know how to retreat. They only know how to attack. He turned to Captain Yu. Bring the Odysseus out of hiding. Power up all weapons. It's time to show them what else Earth can do. The massive human ship moved out from behind the moon, its weapons glowing with energy. The Void Armada was about to learn that challenging Earth's Deathworlders was a serious mistake. The huge ship Odysseus moved through space toward the Void Armada fleet. Captain Yu stood on the bridge, his hands steady on the controls. "Enemy ships approaching," reported the sensor officer. "They're forming an attack pattern." Colonel Junho watched the screen as the black ships of the Void Armada spread out to surround the Odysseus. "They think they have us outnumbered." "We are outnumbered," Captain Yu said. 4-1, but not outmatched, Junho replied. "Begin attack sequence Alpha." The Odysseus fired its main weapons. Beams of energy shot across space and hit 3 void ships. The enemy vessels shook but kept coming. "They have strong shields," said Weapons Officer Junseo. Adjusting power levels, the Void Armada fired back. Their weapons hit the Odysseus, making the whole ship shake. "Shields holding at 87%, reported an officer. On the planet below, the human soldiers were moving the rescued Nebulans to safe areas. Medical teams treated the injured crystal beings while combat teams kept guard. Lieutenant Sunmi Choi had joined Sergeant Minho's team after the battle. She was helping a young Nebulan whose arm had been damaged. "Your body is different from ours," the Nebulan said, its voice like soft music. "You are made of soft parts, but you are so strong." "We come from a tough world," Sunmi explained. "Earth has high gravity, extreme weather, and many dangers. We had to become strong to survive. The Void comes from a similar world," the Nebulan said, "but they became cruel." "You became kind. Why?" Sunmi thought about this while wrapping the Nebulan's crystal arm in special bandages. "Maybe because we learned that working together helps us survive better than fighting each other." Their conversation was interrupted by a loud boom from above. Everyone looked up to see flashes of light in the sky as the Odysseus battled the Void fleet. "Our ship is fighting for us," Minho said, coming over to them. "But we have a problem. More Void soldiers are coming this way. They're bringing new weapons." "What kind of weapons?" Sunmi asked. "We don't know yet. Scout Team Delta is watching them now." On a hill overlooking the ruined city, Scout Team Delta used special cameras to watch the approaching Void forces. They saw strange devices being carried by the alien soldiers. "Those don't look like normal weapons," said Team Leader Yoonji Kim. She sent pictures back to the Odysseus. On the ship, Chief Science Officer Jun Seo Lee studied the images while the battle raged around him. "Those appear to be sonic weapons," he said. "They probably attack the inner ear to disrupt balance." Colonel Junho frowned. "They're adapting to fight us specifically. Warn the ground teams." The warning came just in time. When the Void forces attacked the first safe zone, they activated the sonic weapons. A high-pitched sound filled the air, making the human soldiers dizzy and sick. "Cover your ears," shouted Minho, though it didn't help much. The sound seemed to go right through their hands and helmets. The humans fell back, struggling to keep their balance. The Nebulans weren't affected by the sound, but they couldn't fight the Void soldiers. "Retreat to position 2, Minho ordered, his voice shaky from the sonic attack. The humans pulled back, taking the Nebulans with them. Once they were far enough away, the sonic effects lessened. "They studied our biology," Sunmi said, holding her head. "They found a weakness." "We need to adapt faster than they do," Minho replied. He contacted the Odysseus. "We need countermeasures for sonic attacks. The enemy has targeted our inner ear balance." On the ship, Medical Officer Heejin heard the request. She was already treating injured soldiers from the space battle, but she immediately began working on a solution. "I need inner ear stabilizers," she told her medical team, "and we need to modify the battlesuit helmets to block those frequencies." While she worked, the space battle continued. The Odysseus had destroyed 2 Void ships, but more were arriving. "They're calling for reinforcements," Jinwoo reported. "We're detecting 5 more capital ships entering the system." Colonel Junho's face was grim. "How long until they arrive?" 3 hours, sir." "Then we have 3 hours to turn this battle around." Junho opened a channel to all team leaders. "This is Colonel Kang. The enemy is bringing reinforcements and adapting their weapons to target human weaknesses, but adaptability is our greatest strength. We will overcome this." On the planet, the human soldiers regrouped. They couldn't advance while the sonic weapons were active, but they could defend their current positions. In one safe zone, a Nebulan scientist named Prism approached Sunmi. "Your people are being hurt by sound waves," the crystal being said. "Perhaps I can help." "How?" Sunmi asked. "We Nebulans understand vibrations very well. Our bodies are crystal. We might be able to create counter vibrations." Sunmi immediately called Medical Officer Hee-jin and put Prism on the line. The two began discussing possible solutions. Meanwhile, Engineer Sung-ho was working on another problem. The Void had deployed gravity weapons that made the ground pull stronger in some areas, making it hard for humans to move. "They're using our homeworld's gravity against us," Sung-ho said as he modified a soldier's battlesuit. "But I can reconfigure our suits to push back against the extra gravity." All across the battlefield, humans were finding ways to overcome the Void's new weapons. They shared ideas, tested solutions, and adapted their tactics. 2 hours later, the Odysseus sent down shuttles with new equipment. Hye-jin had created small devices that could be placed in the ear to block the sonic attacks. Sung-ho had programmed the battle suits to detect and counter gravity changes. "This is what humans do best," Colonel Jun-ho told his officers on the Odysseus. "We adapt. We overcome. We survive." As the soldiers used their new equipment, they began pushing back against the Void forces. The sonic weapons no longer stopped them. The gravity traps no longer slowed them down. In the main battle area, Minho led a charge against the Void line. "They think they've figured us out," he shouted to his troops. "Show them they're wrong." The human soldiers moved forward, firing their weapons. The Void soldiers tried to adjust their tactics, but they couldn't change as quickly as the humans. Sunmi worked with Prism and other Nebulons to create a new weapon. They used Nebulon crystal technology to focus energy in a way humans had never seen before. "This will disrupt their communication," Prism explained, showing Sunmi a crystal device. "They connect to each other through vibrations. This will block those vibrations." When they activated the device, the Void soldiers became confused. They couldn't coordinate their movements or share information. "It's working," Sunmi reported to Colonel Jun-ho. "The Nebulons have given us an advantage." The tide of the ground battle was turning. Humans were pushing the Void forces back, freeing more areas and rescuing more Nebulons. But in space, the situation was getting worse. The Void reinforcements were arriving earlier than expected, and the Odysseus was taking heavy damage. "Shields at 34%, reported Captain Yu. "We can't take much more of this." Colonel Jun-ho knew they needed a new strategy. "Contact Scout Team Delta," he ordered. "I have a special mission for them." Yoonji Kim received the colonel's orders and gathered her team. "We're going to find the Void command ship," she told them. "It's hiding somewhere in this system. If we can disrupt their leadership, we might turn this whole battle around." Her team took a small fast ship and left Lumina 4, flying toward the asteroid belt where the Odysseus had detected unusual energy readings. "It's a dangerous mission," Colonel Jun-ho told them. "But if anyone can succeed, it's you." Yoonji's voice was determined. "We won't let you down, sir." As Scout Team Delta disappeared into the asteroid belt, the battle continued on 2 fronts. In space, the Odysseus fought against increasing odds. On the ground, human soldiers pushed their advantage against the confused Void forces. The next few hours would determine not just the fate of the Nebulons, but perhaps the reputation of humanity in the galaxy. Earth's Deathworlders were showing what they could do when protecting others, and the galaxy was watching. Scout Team Delta's small ship moved carefully through the asteroid belt. Sergeant Yoonji Kim guided it with expert hands, dodging rocks and ice chunks as they searched for the Void Armada command vessel. "Energy readings getting stronger," said team member Jae-won, watching the scanner. "Something big is hiding ahead." The team consisted of 5 members, each chosen for their special skills. Yoonji was the fastest human in the regiment. Jae-won could understand any technology. Soo-jin was the best shot. Dong-hyuk could break into any system. And Hae-won was a doctor who could keep them alive if things went wrong. "There," whispered Yoonji, pointing through the front window. Hidden between 2 large asteroids was a massive black ship, bigger than any other Void vessel they had seen. "That's their command center," Jae-won confirmed, looking at his readings. "It's controlling the entire armada." Yoonji reported their discovery to the Odysseus. "Colonel, we found the command ship. It's well hidden and heavily protected." Colonel Jun-ho's voice came through their radio. "Excellent work. Can you get closer?" "Yes, sir. We're going to try to dock without being detected." The small scout ship moved silently toward the huge command vessel. They used the asteroids as cover, moving when the command ship's sensors were pointed away. "We'll attach to the maintenance port on the lower hull," Yoonji decided. "Their sensors are weakest there." With careful movements, they brought their ship against the black hull of the enemy vessel. Special clamps locked onto the metal and Dong Hyuk began working on the airlock. Their security is complex, he muttered as he worked, but not impossible. After 10 tense minutes, the lock opened with a soft hiss. The team put on their helmets and checked their weapons. Remember the mission, Yoonji said. Get to the command center, plant the virus, and get out. Don't engage unless necessary. They entered the void ship through a narrow service tunnel. The air inside was thin and smelled like metal and something else, something alien. The walls were dark and seemed to absorb light. Which way? Whispered Soo-jin. Jae-won checked a small device. The main computer should be 3 levels up in the center of the ship. They moved carefully through the alien vessel. The corridors were designed for the taller void beings, making the humans feel small. They had to hide several times as void soldiers passed by. They don't know we're here, Yoonji said after a close call. Let's keep it that way. Meanwhile, on Lumina 4, the ground battle was turning in favor of the humans. With their new protections against the void's sonic and gravity weapons, the Earth soldiers were pushing the enemy back. Lieutenant Sunmi Choi led a team that combined human soldiers with Nebulon technicians. The Nebulons couldn't fight, but they could use their crystal technology to support the humans. Their forces are retreating toward the north, Sunmi reported to Sergeant Minho. They seem to be gathering for a final stand. Minho nodded, his face tired but determined. We'll push them all the way back to their ships if we have to. A Nebulon named Prism approached them. Her crystal body glowed with blue light. The Void soldiers cannot understand why they are losing, she said. They have never failed before. First time for everything, Minho replied with a grim smile. Sunmi looked up at the sky, where flashes of light showed the continuing space battle. I hope the Odysseus can hold out long enough. In space, the Odysseus was taking heavy damage. 5 Void battleships surrounded it, firing continuously at its weakening shields. Shields at 12%, reported a bridge officer. Hull breaches on decks 4 and 7. Colonel Jun-ho stood calmly in the center of the bridge. Keep firing. Target their weapon systems, Captain Yu looked worried. Sir, we can't hold out much longer. Should we retreat? No, Jun-ho said firmly. Scout Team Delta needs more time. We hold our position. Another blast rocked the ship, throwing people to the floor. Shields failing, shouted an officer. Colonel Jun-ho opened a channel to all decks. All personnel prepare for direct hits. Damage control teams to your stations. On the medical deck, Dr. Hai-jin and her team braced for more injured crew members. They had been working for hours, treating burns, broken bones, and worse. We're running low on pain medicine, a nurse told her. Use it only for the worst cases, Hai-jin ordered. The rest we'll have to manage. Inside the Void command ship, Scout Team Delta had reached the central computer room. 2 Void guards stood at the door. We need to take them out quietly, Yoonji whispered. Soo-jin raised her stun weapon. On my mark. 3, 2, 1. She fired 2 quick shots, hitting both guards before they could react. They fell to the floor unconscious. Hurry, Yoonji said. More will come soon. Dong Hyuk rushed to the computer console. It was designed for the 4 armed void beings, making it awkward for humans to use. Cover me, he said as he began working. This will take a few minutes. The others formed a protective circle around him, weapons ready. Jae-won kept watch on a scanner, looking for approaching enemies. Movement, he warned. 3 coming from the left corridor. I'll handle them, Soo-jin said, moving to a position where she could see down the hallway. When the Void soldiers appeared, she fired quickly. 1 fell, but the others took cover and returned fire. How much longer? Hyunji asked Dong Hyuk. Almost there, he replied, fingers flying over the alien controls. The virus is uploading. Haewon suddenly gasped and fell to one knee. A void energy beam had caught her in the shoulder. Haewon. Hyunji moved to help her. I'm okay, the doctor said, though her face was pale with pain. Keep going. More void soldiers were arriving. The humans were outnumbered and trapped in the computer room. Done, Dong Hyuk finally shouted. The virus is in their system. On his screen, symbols flashed as the virus, created by Nebulon technologists and human programmers working together, spread through the void command systems. Get ready to move, Yoonji ordered. We're fighting our way out. On the bridge of the Odysseus, a message appeared on the main screen. Virus deployed. Countdown initiated. Colonel Jun-ho allowed himself a small smile. Send to all void ships, Deathworlders are coming. The message went out just as the virus took effect. Across the void fleet, ships began losing power. Their weapons stopped firing. Their engines failed. It's working, Jinwoo said, watching the sensor readings. Their command systems are shutting down. Captain Yu looked at Colonel Junho. Should we press our advantage? Yes, target their flagship. Let's show them what happens when they threaten those under our protection. The Odysseus fired its main weapons at the largest Void battleship. With its shields down due to the virus, the enemy ship took devastating damage. On Lumina 4, the Void ground forces suddenly stopped fighting. Their coordinated attacks fell apart as they lost contact with their commanders. What's happening? Sunmi asked as she watched the enemy soldiers moving in confusion. Prism's crystal body glowed brighter. Your people have disrupted their command network. The Void cannot function without central control. They have no individual initiative. Minho saw the opportunity immediately. All teams, advance now. Push them back to their landing zones. The human soldiers surged forward. The Void troops, without guidance from their leaders, fell back in disorder. Inside the Void command ship, Scout Team Delta was fighting for their lives. They had made it out of the computer room but were still far from their ship. This way, Yunji shouted, leading them down a corridor. Haewon was limping, supported by Jaewon. Suddenly, they rounded a corner and came face to face with a group of high-ranking Void officers. These were different from the soldiers, taller with markings on their stone-like skin. Both groups froze in surprise. Then Sujin raised her weapon. "Wait!" said one of the Void beings in a harsh, grating voice. It was the first time any human had heard the Void speak. "You are the Earth creatures." Yunji stepped forward. "We are humans from Earth, and you are losing this battle." The Void commander tilted its eyeless head. "Why do you fight for the crystal ones? They are not your kind." "Because they asked for help," Yunji replied. "Because protecting others is what humans do." "Inefficient," the Void commander said. "Waste of resources." "Maybe," Yunji said. "But it's who we are. Now stand aside or we'll show you what else humans do well." The Void beings looked at each other, communicating in some silent way. Then, surprisingly, they moved aside. "You have damaged our fleet," the commander said. "We will study this defeat." Yunji didn't wait for more conversation. She led her team past the Void officers and toward the exit. "That was strange," Donghyuk whispered. "They're learning," Yunji replied. "Let's not give them more time to adapt." The battle for Lumina 4 ended as the remaining Void ships, struggling with failed systems, began to retreat. Their ground forces were either captured or evacuated. On the bridge of the Odysseus, Colonel Junho watched as the enemy fleet moved away from the planet. "Should we pursue?" asked Captain Yu. "No," Junho decided. "Our mission was to protect the Nebulans, not destroy the Void completely. Let them go with the knowledge that Earth is now a player in galactic affairs." Scout Team Delta returned safely to the Odysseus, bringing valuable information about the Void command structure. Their mission had turned the tide of the battle. On the planet, humans and Nebulons began the work of rebuilding. The crystal beings glowed with new colors as they emerged from hiding places and returned to their homes.